Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another tutorial episode of War in the East 2. I'm back again on the channel after a very long pause, to which I apologize as always, but I've been very busy in real life, as well as during my spare time I was mostly keeping track of what's going on in our real life war in the East too, from a European point of view, of course. Also, during this pause, I've been thinking about optimizing this tutorial series, and of course, if you guys don't like this, let me know in the comments below. But I would like to first of all make shorter videos, and at the end of every video I would like to make a 2 to 5 minutes long bags of tricks in which I would like to explain where and when to use the information that I just described in the video. Of course, if the topic is also, let's say, relevant. And I'm also planning to make some tutorials on some, let's say, operational aspects of the game, like how to employ your panzer divisions, how to form a pocket, how to make a defensive line, and so on and so forth. How to assign support units, which support units fits best for a specific combat unit, and all this kind of stuff. And okay, with this introduction, let's jump straight into the first topic. This video, as you may have seen from the title, contains two topics. The phases and the first half of the graphic user interface of the map. Now, phases. War in the East 2 is a turn-based operational game. Each turn is, in turn, divided into 4 phases. 2 of these phases are AI controlled, 1 is exclusively human controlled, and 1 can be either, let's say, AI controlled or handled by the human player. The first phase of each turn is always the logistical phase. This is a phase controlled by the AI, because in this phase there are all the calculations and all the, let's say, hidden parts of the game that we don't see, like the swapping of the equipment in case there is an upgrade available. There is the distribution of supplies, ammunitions, fuel, replacements, reserves, morale, movement points, and all this kind of stuff. And thank God that this is controlled by the AI, because I think that if the player would have to choose whether to assign 51 tons of supplies to the 17th Panzer Division and 6 tons of supplies to the 18th Panzer Division, I mean, I would go insane personally. And also, one important thing is that during the Axis logistics phase, if the Soviet player planned an amphibious operation in the previous turn, this amphibious operation will be carried out in the Axis logistics phase of the next turn. And I'm mentioning this because if we take, for example, the scenario of 1941, in the first turn, so the very first turn of each scenario does not have the logistics phase. Every scenario that begins before 1942 sees the Axis as the, let's say, first movers. Every scenario beginning, let's say, in the November of 1942 sees the Soviets as the openers of the campaign. And after the logistics phase, there is the air planning phase. Now, before going on, in case you are lost and you don't understand in which phase you are, you can always have a look here at the top black bar, and it tells you exactly which phase, in which phase you are right now. And because this is the very first turn of the 1941 scenario, we are already in the air planning phase. The air planning phase is the phase that can be either controlled by the human player or controlled by the AI. We have seen in the previous tutorial how to check this option, and you can also see here that I am now playing with the automated AI air planning system. The only difference is that in this case, the AI will automatically generate air doctrines. I already cleared them for the sake of this tutorial, while the human player can adjust and prepare manually all of the air doctrines that will be then executed in the next phase. If we now press F12 or click on this button, we are now in the air execution phase. Basically, this is a 7 days phase. It covers 7 days, just like each turn. And in the air execution phase, all of the air directives that we have set up, either by ourselves or by the AI in the previous turn, will be executed. And here there will be a summary of all the losses and damage inflicted, and all of the information that we need for the air execution phase. And the last phase is the movement phase, the ground movement, the ground execution, call it whatever you like. And this phase is exclusively controlled by the human player. And well, this is the phase in which, let's say, the most funny events occur. And yeah, that's it really for the phases. And then let's talk about the first part of the map graphic user interface. So basically, where to find information on the map, and how to use the information that you find on the map. War in the East 2 is an hexed base game, as you can see here, so it's quite convenient also to orientate yourself, because you always keep in mind of the direction of north, east, south and west, and then you have all the combinations of northwest, northeast, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the first topic that I wanted to discuss in this tutorial is the hex pop-up window information. If you've watched the previous tutorial, you should know by now how to regulate the delay that this window that it takes for this window to appear on the map. And the hex pop-up window appears if you just hover the mouse over any hex. Now, the amount of information as well as the information displayed in this window depends on two things. First, on which hex you are hovering, which hex you are hovering the mouse, as well as on the map mode that you selected to display. And about the map modes and basically all these juicy buttons here, I will dedicate one whole tutorial for the next episode. So I decided to present, let's say, at least three examples. The first one is the most basic one. So, which information will always be depicted in this pop-up? First of all, you have the type of terrain. In this case, is clear. You have the coordinates. You have the country. In this case, Germany, and the region indicated in brackets. That is, in this case, for this hex, is Eastern Prussia. And then every hex can have either poor, average, or good roads. In this case, we have average roads. Then we will always see the climate, that is, can be humid. In other regions, can be temperate humid. We have the weather. Because it's summer 1941, the weather is clear, both on the ground as well as in the air. And because it's summer and it has not been snowing nor raining for the past turn, we have no water nor snow. This hex is under axis control. And then we have the off-rail MP, or the movement points. Now, this is a concept that it took me a while to understand, and honestly, I do not understand entirely. So please, guys, let me know in the comments below. What I understood is that the off-rail MP indicates the number of hexes to cross in order to reach another hex containing a rail yard connected to the national railway network. If we look at this hex, we see that this hex is 1 hex away from 3 other hexes, well, actually 5. 5 other hexes containing a railyard. Rails are indicated by these black lines as well as these black and white dashed lines. And so far it's clear, right? It says off rail MP1 because it's just 1 hex away. If, however, we go here, it says off rail MP8, even though we are just 2 hexes away from an hex containing a railway track. Why is this? Honestly, I don't know. So if you know, please let me know in the comment section here below. Since I mentioned the railways, let's talk briefly about the information of the railways. In this case, you see that I have a new line of information called axis rail usage. This comes very handy, let's say, after the logistics phase, and this number indicates the tons of freight that were moved during the logistics phase through that specific hex. So yeah, 3,221 means that this number of tons of freight was moved through this hex. Then you have the indication about the connecting railway tracks. So in this case, we have a railway going east, one to the southeast, one to the southwest, and one to the west. And it's quite intuitive to see the railways here. And since I've chosen this hex, we also have information about the rivers. We have a minor river flowing to the west, northwest, and northeast. So yeah, it's quite intuitive to also to get the orientation based on the cardinal points. Assuming that this is always looking to the north. And the other information that I wanted to stress about is the amount of information that you get when you hover the mouse on an hex containing a unit, in this case a ground unit. So you see that there are actually 2 windows. Besides the hex pop-up, we have a large rectangle that contains all of the that shows all of the elements composing that specific unit. In this case, the 8th SS Cavalry Brigade has 18 Sonderkraftfahrzeug 222, the 8th Light Flak, 12 infantry gun, 38 infantry self-propelled weapons, 6 engineers, and so on and so forth. That's very interesting. You can disable, and you should know. You can disable this window, and you should know how to do it. And regarding the hex pop-up window, we have several information about this unit. In this case, we have first of all the name, the 8th SS Cavalry Brigade, and then in brackets we have 3 numbers. The first 2 numbers indicate Sorry, oh my God, I can't talk today. The first 2 numbers indicate the estimated combat value that this unit has during an attack and during the defense, while the number in percentage indicates the percentage of the table of organization and equipment, the TOE, that this unit has. So 100% means this unit is fully equipped. And MP24 indicates the amount of movement points that this unit has. And additionally, we also see an extra line for this unit that says withdraws in 3 turns. So on turn number 4, so 1 plus 3, this unit will be transferred somewhere else. So it will disappear from the map. Now, I mentioned also, since we're here, you see that I'm hovering the mouse on an hex with a railway, and it says off rail MP0. Now, I mentioned that the amount of information changes based on the map mode and on the hex. Like if, for instance, I hide all the units by pressing a button that I will talk about in the next episode. You see that now, okay. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, you see, now I don't see anymore the information about the unit present here. So you can really play around with the map modes and the hexes to get to filter the information that you want to see. And the last topic of this video is the what you can do with the right mouse button. And again, this depends on which hex you are selecting. Some common options are, for instance, establish a new airfield or build a fortified unit. Fortified units are basically these guys here that are they are good for holding the ground, and they're like more like emergency units that the Axis player can build. You can center them up, and then you have these two buttons leading to additional windows. Now the map information can be either accessed here or by clicking these buttons here. So you have, let's say, two roads leading to the same target. You can do two things. Meaning you can do the same thing using two different approaches. You can either select open the map information here, or also the information screens directly from the map, or you can go here, map info or info screens, and then you can click on any of these buttons here. Now, some hexes do have other options, like if you select an hex containing a railway, you can set this hex as the theater box arrival hex. So when there are reinforcements coming, those reinforcements will spawn on the hex that you specified. And you see here, establish new depot. I won't talk about it too much, but I will make a tutorial on how to organize your depots, basically. And if you select an hex with an air base, air bases are these circles here. These these circles with this either green or black background. You can get information about the unit. Each airfield does have its own unit indicating the presence of the support units in that text. You see here 75 support units, and you can expand the airbase, meaning that there are three sizes of airbases, which can be easily identified by the number of, let's say, airstripes. You have size 1, size 2, and somewhere else, yeah, size 3. Yeah, size 3. And you can also bring the AOG, the air operational groups from the reserves. You can bring the whole air groups. I will talk about these in the air tutorial video, and then you can play around with the port, because I selected a hex containing this icon here with the anchor, and this indicates that there is a port. And here you can change the priority. Priorities is given to indicate the flow of the freight. And briefly, priority 0 means that this depot will always deliver freight out, and priority 1, 2, 3, 4 indicates the flow that this that the freight will follow to reach new depots. So priority number 1 means that this hex containing a depot will drag supplies, will drag freight from other parts of the map, and will deliver the freight to depots which have priority of level 2, like like for instance the port of Königsberg. Okay, so the bag of tips and tricks when to use or where to use the information that I just gave you. So in regard to the right mouse button, it's really up to you, it's up to the context, it's up to your will, it's your decision. Let's say if you want to build, I have no idea, to build an air base here, you say, okay, I need an airbase here because then I can move my single engine BF-109F4, so they will be in range of, I don't know, Lida or Minsk. They can provide air cover, or yeah, I'm just fantasizing, but you got the point. Or I want to upgrade an existing airfield, I want to make a new depot, and so you just go to the hex and click, okay, let's make a depot, or a fortified unit, or upgrade an existing airfield. And in regard to the hex pop-up window, now what, in my opinion, I found this window to be really important is when I wanted to get information about a specific hex. Of course, when playing in the with the fog of war, the amount of information that you get from enemy hexes depends on the amount of information that you have on that hex. But for instance, let's assume that I am about to close the Minsk pocket and I want to get information about let's say this hex over here. Assuming that I know everything about this hex, let's say that I have enough recon level, I may get information about which units, and if there are units, for instance, the name of the unit, if it's a brigade or a division, and for instance, you can see here the estimated combat value in attack and defense. Of course, this is from my point of view. If you know other, let's say, tips or tricks on when to use the hex pop-up window, please, of course, let me know in the comment section here below. And with this, I greet you guys. Thank you very much for watching, thank you very much for supporting the channel, and I'll wait you all in the next episode, in which we will talk about the map info and the info screen. So basically all these 3 tabs here and all of these juicy buttons up here. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you all in the next episode.